Hi, I'm Neil Milken. I want to talk briefly about jointly owned assets and beneficiary designations and how they can be used for probate avoidance, but how they can also be a complete and utter disaster. So if you have a jointly owned house between a couple, for instance, and that couple wants the surviving spouse to inherit the house and be able to do with it whatever they want to do with it, then joint ownership is great. If you have a blended family and you actually wanted your share of the house to go to your kids and not your spouse's kids, then joint ownership of the house is not going to work for you. And you should instead be using something like tenants in common and a life tenancy or life interest in the house to the surviving spouse. Where these things can be really problematic is making an adult child the joint owner of something like a house. They will inherit the house, but they may be obligated to account back to the estate. And that's the presumption. An adult child is presumed not to receive something like a house or a bank account as a gift. They are presumed to receive it in trust for the estate. And they can be challenged and forced to contribute it back to the estate. So very important to get that right, to have a clear plan. If you only have one child, for instance, it can work brilliantly. But if you have two or three and they maybe are estranged from each other, definitely not recommended. And certainly something should only be done very carefully with very good paperwork. Lastly, beneficiary designations, they're quite different. They are not so susceptible to challenge, so they'll stand up, but the recipient may receive the account, something like an RRSP or a RIF, completely tax-free. And the tax consequences, the significant income tax consequences, could hit the estate. So again, very important to have a proper holistic plan that takes into account all of the income taxes, all of the expenses. Otherwise, it can be extremely unfair if one child inherits the RSP and the other is supposed to get the estate, for instance. So I hope that helps. If you have questions or concerns, send us an email. We'll try to answer right away.